What is your stance on mandatory drug and alcohol testing for public safety employees? Firefighters specifically, are you for it and are you against it? And if you are for it, tell me how you would implement this.
Well, this is something I do agree with the mayor. I agree with his going to the state and making this a requirement for all our public safety personnel here in the city. It should be part of their contract, and it shouldn't even be an issue. Our public safety personnel, the citizens should be able to trust that these people are clean and safe and sober when they're on the job. And if they have an issue, then we need to, as a community, help them get over it and get back onto the force.
Mr. Flaherty, you enjoy the support of the firefighters, so I would like to know
and under the
what your
Flaherty
position.
administration, there will be mandatory random drug and alcohol testing. Big difference between mandatory testing and random testing. Random testing, if you truly want a sober and clean workforce, you need to have random testing. Our mayor in the last 16 years has failed to negotiate one contract that contains mandatory random drug and alcohol testing. The testing that we do have for some of our public safety personnel is 30 days within their birthday. I'm born on May 4th. If I'm a police officer, I know that I can get tested between April 4th and June 4th. That's not mandatory random testing. The time has come for mandatory random testing, not only for public safety personnel, but for anyone in the city of Boston that operates heavy equipment, and that will happen under my administration.
And under your administration, Mr. Yoon?
Same thing, and there shouldn't be a give back to the union for mandatory random drug testing. But this is an important point in terms of how it gets done. As Michael raised, you know, these contracts with municipal unions are about 3 years apiece. That means over the last 16 years, there have been 4 opportunities for our mayor to negotiate a contract that's fair to the union, but also is in the best interest of the city. And so all of a sudden this year, for the mayor to bash the unions, there's something kind of disingenuous about that, because it's the mayor's responsibility to successfully negotiate those contracts. And that is something that hasn't been done. But let me just say, you know, while we're talking about unions, I want to just make it clear that I'm a pro-labor candidate. I absolutely believe in the right of working people to organize to protect their interests. But there is a science and an art to negotiation that there are, like Harvard and MIT, they like wrote the book on how to negotiate successfully, you know, against, you know, with a party that shares some of your interests but diverges. And we don't do that. And it's just amazing. These people, they consult countries that are about to go to war in terms of, you know, how to make peace and how to create, you know, agreements and settlements. We don't, you know, we don't take advantage of
your. He wants to expand the charter school cap and get rid of unionized teacher. That's not pro-labor.
All right, let's just stay on point for this right now. Mr. Mayor, what's your stance?
My stance on fire is that they should be drug and alcohol tested on every time, every year. But also,
this is a sticking point, though.
I know, because they want to be paid for that. They want to be paid to get drug and alcohol tested. The EMS agreed on the last contract, the police agreed on it, but they want to get paid for it. But also, when you drive a heavy equipment accident, you have to have a CDL license, but not in the fire department. You don't need a CDL license, because what CDL license means, you must be tested annually for drug and alcohol testing. That's what this is all about. Firefighters do a great job, but let's get down to the 21st century when it comes to drug and alcohol testing.
And what I didn't hear, Maria, is that he'll negotiate a mandatory random drug and alcohol testing. What I've said to the firefighters and made no promises other than, and also to the residents at City, I'll never put politics in front of public safety. So while they'll have random mandatory drug testing, they'll also have brakes that work, hydraulics, and pumps that work when they arrive in an emergency situation.
Okay, so let's ask the mayor that. Will you implement random drug testing?
I should be random. Any kind of drug testing I get, I want it. I even filed a bill, because I'm not making any headway in negotiations, to get statewide, all fire departments, all public safety officials to have drug and alcohol testing. That's what I want. And also, they just want to talk about the fire trucks. I don't fix the fire truck. The firefighters fix the fire trucks. So what we did, we brought professionals in to fix those trucks. We haven't had any problems since the professionals went in there and fixing those fire trucks.
Mr. Yoon.
But here's where I think the record matters over the last 16 years, with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, because there have been 4 opportunities for teachers, firefighters, police, all the major municipal unions for you to have successfully negotiated contracts that actually include things that are in the best interest of the city. But here's been the problem. For the last 16 years, we have to acknowledge the turnout for municipal elections has been dreadfully low. And when turnout for elections, and this is an important point, Maria, when turnout for elections is that low, then the municipal union vote, which they have every right to vote in their own interest, becomes a large share of that. And so who do you think the mayor is going to be beholden to?
Let's get Mr. McCray in here because we're running out of time.
Sure. The politicians talk about the poor turnout. I have a proposal. I want to change the mayoral elections to be at the same time as the presidential elections. That's going to take away the power of the special interests. It's also going to save us millions of dollars so that our school nurses can afford supplies. And that's going to double the amount of people that are going to get out to vote. That's progressive thinking.
We've got about 30 seconds till closing statements.
And I just want to say, obviously, the mayor is the mayor. He's the CEO of the city. The buck stops with him. It's about accountability. So if we don't have mandatory random drug testing, if we don't have trucks that have brakes that work and pumps and hydraulics that don't work in emergencies, that's not someone else's fault. That's the mayor's responsibility to step in and make sure that something like that never, ever happens again.
And it's the job of the city councilors to say something about it in the meantime, not just stand there quietly.
And you know what? Now you're eating into your time for closing statements. So let's invite all of you to each make a closing statement. You're all going to have 1 minute.